In the past 3 to 5 years, a very perplexing global injury pattern has emerged across organizations and industries. The pattern is this: recordable and lost time injuries are declining steadily, while at the same time serious injuries and fatalities are level or increasing. There are two things about this pattern that are disturbing to leading organizations. One, all the things that we've been doing in safety are not effectively reducing the most devastating injuries. And two, this injury pattern is a direct contradiction of one of the fundamental models of modern safety science. The model I'm referring to is Heinrich's safety triangle, which, though it's 80 years old, is still highly influential in the thinking of most organizations. The Heinrich model claims that reducing injuries at the bottom of the triangle will result in proportionate reductions at the top. This idea has guided safety strategy in organizations for many years. But if this claim is true, then recordable injuries and serious and fatal injuries would decline in parallel, which they are not. At the level of the individual location, the problem looks like this. Ask the plant manager how his or her facility is doing in safety this year, and they'll say, "We're doing really well. Our injury rates are at the lowest point ever." And then a few months later, they have a fatality or a very serious injury or both, and it seems like they have been blindsided. They say, "What happened? We thought we were doing so well." In response to this situation, BST and Mercer ORC got together with a group of 7 global companies to see if we could understand this problem and develop a strategy to address it. The study found that recordable and lost time injuries could easily be divided into 2 categories: those that had high versus low potential to be serious. For example, a worker working on the top of a rail car slips, catches himself, and strains his back. Or a worker slips in the parking lot and strains his back. These 2 events have radically different potential for serious injury. In our study, we found that about 20% of recordable and lost time injuries had the potential to be serious. This finding has huge implications for prevention. It says if you decrease injuries at the bottom of the triangle, you may or may not decrease injuries at the top of the triangle. So in order to protect your workers from serious injuries, you need a prevention strategy that will not only decrease recordables and lost time injuries, but also targets and decreases those injuries with the potential to be serious. We also found that the underlying causes and correlates for more serious injuries are very different from those underlying less serious injuries. Serious injuries and fatalities are most frequently associated with basic safety systems, things covered by cardinal safety rules, for example, or life-saving rules. Less serious injuries are usually not related to basic safety systems, but to other factors. In many organizations, life-saving rules are relied on to prevent injury associated with these kinds of activities. Life-saving rules are important, but they are the last line of defense. If they fail, the risk of a serious injury is very high. In our study, we found that there are certain high-risk situations that act as precursors for serious injuries. A precursor is an unmitigated high-risk situation that will eventually result in a serious injury if allowed to continue. Taking all this together allows for the creation of a new model or a new paradigm for the understanding and prevention of serious injuries and fatalities. The new model says that certain kinds of situations give rise to precursors, which are followed by serious and fatal injuries. Prevention efforts need to identify and focus in on these critically important precursors. If the organization doesn't have adequate visibility of the precursors of serious injuries, and if it relies on recordable and lost time injuries to gauge how safety is being managed, it has a blind spot. This sets the stage for complacency, which can be followed by an unexpected, serious, or fatal injury. The study group identified 4 elements that companies can begin to do to prevent serious and fatal injuries. 1. educate the organization on the new model. 2, measure serious injuries and fatalities and high potentials as one category. 3, develop processes to identify and mitigate serious injury precursors. This is the basis of the prevention strategy itself. 4, integrate the findings of this study with existing safety systems. Nothing in this study suggests that less attention should be paid to injuries that are less severe. In summary, serious injuries and fatalities are increasing in frequency while less serious injuries are steadily declining. Investigation finds that the reason is that the potential for serious injury is present in only 20% of less serious injury, and more serious injuries have different causes and correlates. Prevention efforts should focus on serious injury precursors, along with new metrics and interventions aimed specifically at more serious injuries.